Bob Vokey, thank you so much for joining me.
Happy to be here.
Really excited to chat to you. And we've spoken before. We spoke last year. There was a great cover story on you. But I want to get back into the story that you told me that was really cool. I think it was around 1995, maybe a little bit later. And Wally Uline said, "Who's going to take Wedges?"
Yeah, that's
So
right.
can you recall that moment?
True story. Because I remember when I first went into Titleist, Terry McCabe, who was head of R&D at the time, and he told me that when I finished the driver, was there assisting Terry with the 975D driver. I finished work and I said, what I would do next? And Terry said, well, you know, Mr. Uline wants to get into wedges. I said, okay. So I'll never forget, I went in a room. We had an R&D meeting. And I remember it was brought up, you know, well, we're going to go into wedges. And I said, I got it, Coach. I called Wally Coach.
Coach, yeah.
And when I thought to myself, you know, then I went outside the office, and I said, wait a sec, what did I just volunteer myself for? But I knew wedges. They were my hobby.
Yeah.
Anyway, with all the other products that I did, but I loved wedges.
Where did that love of wedges come from?
My dad was a fairly decent handicap back in Canada. And I used to caddy for him in tournaments, and I watching everybody say, I was a baseball, football, hockey player. I thought golf to me was a little, you know, it wasn't macho, you know,
Yeah.
like my other sports were. But little did I realize when I lost that macho-ness, you know, I sort of turned to golf. And I said, you know, I wanted to, and I loved golf. I loved everything about it. So I said, I want to learn a little bit more. You watch at your local golf course, watch there and how many people are out there hitting drivers. Remember talking to my wife at that particular time, I said, you see there, all those people hitting drivers, they're trying to hit that 300-yard drive. They're never going to hit it. You only see about one or two guys on putting green or in the short game area. I said, the quickest way to improve your score is from 100 yards and in, you can do it with wedges. Wedges were scoring clubs.
So you become obviously synonymous with wedges. How much have they changed since you first started working on them after that meeting where you put your hand up to now, to the SM11?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. They've changed for the better.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they've changed for the better.
Yeah.
I look at some of my older models, my older creations, and I look, what the heck was I thinking? Yes, wait a second. You know, but they improved quite a bit. Every series that we put out, we take a lot of improvements. We take all the visually, of course. We take profile is very important. Tour player anybody looks it down, it's got to look good in the playing position, and also when you rotate it open a little bit, what you do with wedges.
Yep.
So you have to take all that into consideration, and in all that, I say, wow, we've come a long way. But not only that, we've come a long way with different technologies.
Yeah.
When I did clubs, go back way back, I want to find a center of gravity, I would take the heads off and I would almost balance them on my fingertip, sort of thing. So I did it that way. Then along comes, all of a sudden, I get some engineers. And we start talking about things. And I said, I used to all the time, for longer shots, I turned around and knock it down and figure put the ball high. The weight high, the center of gravity high. No, it's actually just the reverse of it, which we did in SM6s. That's where we start this innovation of weight distribution. And that's when I shook my head and I said, whoa, wait a sec. So I would take it to, I call it certain players out there that would give me feedback. And they were not afraid to give me negative feedback also. And so all of a sudden, Voke, you got something there. I remember Jeff Ogilvy, when I took it to him, and he said, exact words, that's a game changer. That's when in every one of those series, we've improved incrementally all the way through.
Yeah. You told me a story that I would love for you to tell again, and that's Adam Scott and the K grind
Oh,
helped him win the 2013 Masters.
we're up at the Open up in Pebble Beach, 2012. In that particular time, you know, I've known on Adam. We started working when he was 19, so I knew Adam real well, and so he was struggling a little bit in the bunker. So I had this prototype of the K grind. I had made a 6 degree and a 10 degree of bounce. So I went up to Adam, and I turned around and I took the club. And one thing I don't do, I call it a blind test. I turned around and I hand the club to him, grip first. And I said, Adam, don't look at the bottom. Don't look at the sole. Because a lot of tour players will look at the sole and the grind, and they say, oh, no, I can't hit that. Hit it. He turns around, he hits the bunker, he goes, whoa, 2 or 3 shots, jumps outside, little rough, hits it some more, once on a fairway, hits some more. And he says, can I put it in play? So he put it in play then, and then about just a couple of weeks before, he was at the Masters playing practice round in 2013, calls in and says, you know, I need a little bit more bounce because of the bunkers and everything. So I turned around and sent him the 10 degree. Lo and behold, that's what he won. He won the 2013 Masters with. Though that was a very good memory. And another, if I could ever recall this one memory that I talked about flags, certain tour pros giving me flags, thanks Voke, this is great, and everything else like that. But one other time, I remember walking, and I know exactly where it was. It was that 2001 tournament, Jordan Spieth won. And I was walking inside the ropes, and I had my hat, which you can see here, it has Voke on the back. You know, so I was walking, all of a sudden, one of the players outside the ropes, not a player, but he's watching players, and he's a gentleman, older gentleman, and he says, Mr. Vokey. And when anybody says that to me, I go over and talk to him. He says, I want to thank you very much for those new spin mill wedges. I've never been able to spin a ball. I'm enjoying the game more now than I ever have.
Really?
That is what turns me on, because that's my mantra. I want to help everybody play better golf. I want the tour players to play better golf, sure.
Yeah.
But I want the average player to be able to play the game and enjoy this awful tough game.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's
the soul of it too.
It is.
The tour is fantastic, but the soul of the game is the average golf fan who loves the Titleist.
Who plays the game.
Yeah.
And loves Titleist.
Making it better for them and easier and more enjoyable.
Yep, it is. And that's not just in wedges. Everything at Titleist.
Yeah.
Everybody who works at Titleist, that's what we do. Everybody.
Thanks so much, Voke. I really appreciate it.
I loved it.
Awesome.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Good fun.
I could go on and on and on. And in the days when I can have a couple of brews, I can really go on and on and on.
The stories will get better.
Oh yeah.